I thought I was planning my dream wedding until I found my fiancé at an underground massage parlor with his groomsmen. What I discovered there wasn't just cheating. It was something so much worse that would destroy his entire life. This is how I got the most perfect revenge. You know that feeling when your entire world is about to crumble, but you're still living in the beautiful lie. That was me 3 months ago, staring at my reflection in my wedding dress, thinking I was the luckiest woman alive. My name is Selena and I thought I knew everything about the man I was about to marry. I thought Troy Henderson was my soulmate, my forever person, the one who would never hurt me. But sometimes the people we trust most are the ones hiding the darkest secrets. And what I discovered about my fiancé didn't just break my heart, it changed my entire life in ways I never could have imagined. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you loved, hit that like button right now, because this story is going to shock you to your core. I should have seen the red flags earlier, but love makes you blind to the obvious, doesn't it? Troy started coming home later and later, always with some excuse about work meetings, or helping his friends with their businesses. His phone became like a third person in our relationship, constantly buzzing, constantly pulling his attention away from me. Whenever I'd walk into a room, he'd quickly flip it face down, or step outside to take calls. When I asked him about our honeymoon plans, he'd change the subject. When I wanted to discuss our joint savings account for the wedding, he'd suddenly remember something urgent he had to do. The worst part was how he made me feel crazy for questioning him. "Selena, you're being paranoid," he'd say with that charming smile that used to make my heart skip. "I'm working extra hard to give us the perfect wedding. Baby, don't you trust me?" And because I loved him, because I wanted to believe in us, I swallowed my doubts and convinced myself I was just stressed about the wedding planning. But then my best friend Brielle came into my life like an angel in disguise. Brielle isn't just any friend. She's a private investigator, and she has this incredible intuition about people. Over coffee one morning, she watched me make excuse after excuse for Troy's behavior, and finally she couldn't stay quiet anymore. "Selena," she said, leaning forward with those serious eyes, "something isn't right here. I've seen this pattern before and it never ends well." At first I was defensive. How dare she question my relationship? But Brielle had this way of asking the right questions that made my own doubts impossible to ignore. Why was Troy suddenly so secretive about his location? Why did he seem nervous whenever I mentioned wanting to surprise him? At work, why were there charges on our credit card from places I'd never heard of? The turning point came on a Tuesday afternoon that I'll never forget. I was sitting in my office, trying to focus on a marketing presentation, when Brielle called me with urgency in her voice that made my blood run cold. "Selena, you need to sit down." She said. I did some digging. And Troy isn't where he says he is right now. At this very moment, he's at a place called Phoenix Wellness Bar. The way she said it told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't a legitimate business. My hand started shaking as she continued. "It gets worse. He's not alone, Camden. Derek and Austin are all with him. All of your groomsmen, Selena. This isn't some random mistake or moment of weakness. This is planned, coordinated, and it's been happening for weeks." That's when I made the decision that would change everything. Instead of confronting Troy, instead of crying or screaming or falling apart like the old me would have done, I felt something else entirely. I felt this cold, calculating determination settling over me like armor. If Troy wanted to play games, then we were going to play. But he had no idea that I was about to become the player he never saw coming. Make sure you're subscribed, because what happened next is going to blow your mind. And trust me, you don't want to miss how this story unfolds. What happened next still gives me chills when I think about it. Brielle and I sat in her car across from Phoenix Wellness Bar. And let me tell you, this place looked nothing like the high-end wellness center Troy had probably described to himself. It was a rundown building with tinted windows so dark you couldn't see inside, nestled between a pawn shop and a liquor store. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears as we watched Troy's Mercedes pull up, followed by Camden's BMW. 3 years of relationship. And I was about to discover who my fiancé really was. I'll be honest with you, part of me was hoping I was wrong. Part of me was praying that maybe this was all some terrible misunderstanding. that Troy would walk out laughing about some innocent bachelor party planning session. But when I saw the way they looked around nervously before entering, when I saw Troy pull out his phone and make a quick call before disappearing inside, I knew in my gut that my worst fears were about to be confirmed. Brielle had this brilliant idea to book me a fake appointment, using a different name if we are going to catch him. She said, "We need to see exactly what's happening in there." So there I was walking into this place, with a tiny camera hidden in my purse, my hands trembling preparing to see my future husband, in a way I never wanted to. Imagine the receptionist. This older woman with way too much makeup and dead eyes, barely looked up when I signed in as Monica Santos for a deep tissue massage. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared me for what I discovered when I followed the sound of familiar laughter down that dimly lit hallway. I wasn't looking at a massage.